Even if you've learned the sacred drum technique, killing me won't be so easy. The Heavenly Emperor's evil eyes turned skyward. Then, with a thought, the million strands of magic hair that filled the sky began to squirm wildly, surging toward Lin Dong above, each strand possessing the power to pierce through a first-grade Supreme. With such a massive quantity, even a mid-stage Earth Supreme would feel their scalp tingle in fear. Is that so? Hearing the roar of the Heavenly Emperor, Lin Dong above let out a cold smile. He then raised both hands again and struck the void. Boom! As Lin Dong's palms slammed down, the shockwave from the spatial tremor rippled through the air. But this time, it was different from before. After Lin Dong's palms struck, they rose again, continuously striking the void. Moreover, as he struck the void, Lin Dong's body was shifting rapidly through space, his position constantly changing, but in a regular pattern. Lin Dong was tracing a circle with a diameter of several thousand meters. Each of his strikes landed precisely on the invisible edge of the circle, and the speed of the strikes continued to accelerate. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, Lin Dong seemed to have transformed into a drum artist. Each of his strikes was a perfect blend of power and grace, and the drum beats actually seemed to stir the heart. Anyone who heard this sound would feel a surge of battle intent welling up inside them, an uncontrollable urge to fight. Hee. I divide battle formation masters into upper and lower ranks. The sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign's voice echoed in Lin Dong's supreme sea. Ordinary battle formation masters always have the mindset of battling against the heavens. Their motto is to fight the power of the heavens with human strength. But that is a very shallow understanding. Battle formation masters who think this way have not yet grasped the true nature of the heavenly forces. Thus, they will always fail in their battle against the heavens. Buzz. Lin Dong's drumming continued, while below, the million strands of magic hair were closing in fast. But at that moment, the space Lin Dong had struck began to radiate a brilliant light, and at the points where the light burst forth, several foot-wide light marks appeared. There were around 1,000 of these light marks, meaning that in just a few moments, Lin Dong had struck the void over 1,000 times. The incredible speed was due to Lin Dong's control over this space, and the 1,000 light marks arranged themselves into a massive light ring stretching several thousand meters. Swish! Lin Dong's figure flashed above the light ring. Then, according to the information projected into his supreme sea by the sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign, he only needed to strike once more at the center of the ring formed by the drum wave. What is heavenly power? The sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign's voice continued within Lin Dong's supreme sea. Heavenly power is the force of the laws of heaven and earth. What are the laws of heaven and earth? The laws are everything. Everything is insurmountable. No matter how you try to surpass it, you are still within the bounds of everything. Without everything, there would be no you. And without you, there would be no thought of surpassing everything. In the end, surpassing everything is itself a part of everything. Therefore, there is no such thing as defying the heavens. Since it is impossible to defy the heavens, it is impossible to defeat them. Understanding this is the mark of an upper battle formation master. Boom! As the sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign's words ended, Lin Dong's hand finally struck the center of the drum wave light ring, revealing the true form of the sacred drum technique. Inside Lin Dong's supreme sea, Qing Zhuling, in the Xintian Palace, watched the scene outside. A look of shock appeared on her normally calm face. She saw that what Lin Dong was striking was not just any light ring, but a massive spatial drum surface thousands of meters in size. Lin Dong had been stabilizing the edge of this drum surface by repeatedly striking the surrounding space. For this drum surface, made from the very fabric of the world's space, was the true sacred drum. The next scene made Qing Zhuling understand why the sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign, a super battle formation master, did not have a vast army with him. This question had puzzled her when she first arrived on this continent, as she had learned from some information that battle formation masters were typically leaders of massive and powerful armies. A battle formation master without an army was not truly a battle formation master. So when Qingzhu Ling saw that the continent where the sacred drum heavenly sovereign had fallen did not have any remains of a large army, she was confused. Had the sacred drum heavenly sovereign fought the 5 heavenly emperors without bringing his army? This was a question that both Xiaoyan and Lindong had wondered as well. The sound of the sacred drum, filled with divine significance, reverberated through the heavens and earth. In that moment, centered on Lindong, within the controlled domain spanning millions of miles, everything within it, mountains, seas, all living things, plants, and even the void itself, began to tremble. Immediately after, thousands upon thousands of colossal beings rose from the ground. Boom, boom. These immense figures, like demons awakened from the earth's depths, appeared before Ling Qingzhu and the Hair Heavenly Emperor. The scene unfolding before them was truly a rare sight in the world. Across countless places on the continent, transformations began to occur. But these transformations weren't into other forms. Instead, towering giants, each several hundred feet tall, began to emerge. There were roughly 40 to 50,000 of these giants. Some were formed from massive mountains, others from the sea waters of the great oceans, and some were even more terrifying as they were shaped from the ethereal void itself. In short, anything within Lindong's control could be transformed into these giants. This was the true form of the sacred drum technique. The sacred drum heavenly sovereign was the most powerful battle formation master in all of creation. Unlike other battle formation masters who adhered to the mindset of fighting against the heavens, in ancient times, even those with millions of battle inscriptions could not compare to the sacred drum heavenly sovereign. This was because the sacred drum heavenly sovereign didn't need battle inscriptions or seals, these heaven-defying tools. The entire world was the sacred drum heavenly sovereign's army. Wherever it went, the army could gather resources from the surroundings. This was why, tens of thousands of years ago, the primordial evil ancestor, one of the 3 great ancestors of the extraterritorial evil clan, had to dispatch 5 heavenly emperors to confront the sacred drum heavenly sovereign. The primordial evil ancestor's true intention was never to allow these 5 heavenly emperors to return alive to the extraterritorial world. At the time, the sacred drum heavenly sovereign had just entered the mid-stage of the heavenly supreme, and if his power had progressed further, paired with the sacred drum technique, he would have been invincible below the lesser dominator stage. In the entire Great Thousand Worlds, only the sacred drum heavenly sovereign could truly be called an upper battle formation master. As Ling Qingzhu witnessed Lindong gathering tens of thousands of heavenly armies with the power of the heavens and earth, on the opposite side, the million magic hair strands had already pierced through the void and arrived just a few thousand feet from Lindong. However, just as these magic hair strands were about to close in, the thousands of colossal figures across the continent suddenly surged forward. In that instant, the heavens and earth changed color. Dark clouds rapidly covered the sky over millions of miles. Boom, boom. Within the dark clouds that now covered the sky, billions of thunderbolts churned wildly and soon poured down like a torrential rain. These heavenly thunders struck the tens of thousands of heavenly armies and gathered in their right hands, finally transforming into a massive thunder staff, over 1,000 feet in length. The tens of thousands of heavenly battle forces, holding their thunder staves, stood in the air. They simultaneously raised their staves and pointed them forward toward the approaching million magic hair strands. On each thunder staff, an immense force of thunderbolts gathered, eventually transforming into massive thunder dragons that roared toward the million magic hair strands. The clash between thousands of thunder dragons and the million magic hair strands was about to begin. 30 seconds. Boom. When the million magic hair strands collided with the tens of thousands of thunder dragons in the sky, the result was not a stalemate, nor even a moment's hesitation. It was an overwhelming crush. The tens of thousands of thunder dragons were like an indestructible wall. When the million magic hair strands struck this wall, the shockwaves and roars emanating from the thunder dragons immediately condensed and shattered the magic hair. The scene was reminiscent of an egg smashing against a rock. Splash. Logically, after encountering such immense force, hair would normally curl up. But now, the million magic hair strands were directly shattered. The disparity between these two forces was glaringly obvious. At this moment, the Hair Heavenly Emperor represented human strength, while Lin Dong represented the power of the heavens. Human strength and heavenly power were not on the same level at all. Damn it! The Hair Heavenly Emperor's face twisted in terror as he looked at Lin Dong. In his eyes, Lin Dong had now become a giant of heaven and earth holding blades in both hands, while he himself was nothing more than a piece of stinking meat placed before Lin Dong. Sacred Drum Elder! You bastard! The Hair Heavenly Emperor screamed in madness. At this moment, the tens of thousands of thunder dragons, after crushing the million magic hair strands, suddenly turned around and descended toward the Hair Heavenly Emperor below. The Hair Heavenly Emperor was now like a piece of stinking meat nailed to a board, while the descending thunder dragons were like sharp blades, preparing to dissect him. 25 seconds. Since I can't match Lin Dong's strength now, I'll have to use the power I had in the past. Flames began to rise around the Hair Heavenly Emperor. As these flames ignited, something rapidly streamed from his body, accompanied by an overwhelming, terrifying aura erupting from within him. This aura was more formidable than any Lin Dong had encountered in his previous battles. Even an Earth Supreme could never possess such strength. This was a power only one at the Heavenly Supreme level could wield. Hellfire. When this hoarse voice echoed from the Hair Heavenly Emperor, Lin Dong was struck with shock at the sudden surge of power. Inside the Supreme Sea, the sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign also changed expression dramatically. He hadn't expected the Hair Heavenly Emperor to be pushed to such extremes. In that moment, the Hair Heavenly Emperor was willing to burn his own evil spirit to reclaim the power of his peak period. However, given his heavily injured state, even with this temporary boost, he could only exert the strength of an early-stage Earth Supreme, equivalent to a lower Heavenly Emperor. Today's situation foreshadowed the Hair Heavenly Emperor's impending downfall because once the hellfire ignited, it was irreversible and could not be extinguished. Even limbs severed would reignite. The Hair Heavenly Emperor was truly determined. A deafening roar erupted from the Hair Heavenly Emperor, and behind him, a massive wave of evil energy gathered, its scale unprecedented, flooding an area of hundreds of thousands of miles. This aura enveloped the giant drum suspended above the sea, causing the surrounding ocean to turn into a stinking black mass. The space above the giant drum twisted horrifically, on the verge of collapse at any moment. Seeing the Hair Heavenly Emperor's power surge, Lin Dong's expression sharpened slightly. He immediately commanded the tens of thousands of heavenly troops, channeling the power of the will of heaven and earth. The thousands of descending thunder dragons coalesced into a colossal thunder spear over 100,000 zhang long, piercing through the void and hurtling toward the Hair Heavenly Emperor at lightning speed. A little brat thinks he can destroy this emperor. The Hair Heavenly Emperor coldly scoffed as he summoned his vast ocean of evil energy, forming it into an enormous mass of magic hair stretching over tens of thousands of zhang. This magic hair took shape and pierced the void, colliding head-on with the massive thunder spear. The two true forces of destruction clashed, tearing open countless spatial rifts at the center of their collision. However, these rifts rapidly healed due to Lin Dong's efforts. Bang! The thunder spear shattered against the enormous magic hair, which was also forced into a curled mass, gradually melting away. The heat contained within the thunder spear was intensely high, transferring the scorching temperature to the magic hair upon contact. What? Lin Dong was momentarily stunned to see the Hair Heavenly Emperor withstand his blow, powered by the sacred drum method. It became clear that the Heavenly Supreme was indeed a truly terrifying existence. Kid, I will kill you. After shattering Lin Dong's thunder spear, the Hair Heavenly Emperor showed no sign of stopping. With a tremor of his body, the ocean of evil energy began to churn as millions of magic hairs pierced through the void, raining down on Lin Dong like a torrential downpour. However, this rain of millions of magic hairs was merely a preparation for his next attack. From the Hair Heavenly Emperor's massive form, smaller strands of hair extended, varying in color, intertwining in front like countless tentacles. changing patterns akin to the hand seals of humans in the Great Thousand Worlds. Anti-Demon Codex. A sinister voice emerged from the hair Heavenly Emperor's mouth, and the intertwined colorful strands of hair, upon shifting, began to loosen. A black light, seemingly intent on tainting everything in the world, radiated from the ebony strands. As the strands fully unfurled, one emerged, formed purely from evil energy. A silky black hair, approximately 1 meter long, smooth and beautiful, like a strand pulled from an extraordinary woman's head. The hair Heavenly Emperor gazed at this graceful strand of hair and admired it, exclaiming that it was a masterpiece. Oh yes, it could kill. 15 seconds. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Millions of magic hairs surged through the sky, charging toward Lin Dong. In response, Lin Dong immediately harnessed the will of heaven and earth, morphing it into a colossal thunderous wave that roared toward the countless magic hairs, resulting in a clash that annihilated both forces. However, Lin Dong's gaze shifted beyond the thunderous waves and the clash of millions of magic hairs to the space behind them. He could sense a chilling presence coming from there, though he had no idea it was merely his own illusion. Just half a meter in front of him, an extremely thin spatial distortion had already formed, and from it, a strand of hair as fine as a needle extended out. As this magic hair stretched toward him, aiming to pierce Lin Dong, the space in front of him twisted in a strange manner, quickly forming a spatial hand that reached out to grasp the delicate magic hair. However, the spatial hand was still a moment too slow. By the time it tried to catch the hair, the magic hair had already reached within 10 centimeters of Lin Dong's forehead. Damn it! A cold grunt quietly echoed through the void, as the spatial hand failed to catch the beautiful magic hair. Be careful. At that moment, two sharp voices rang out simultaneously. One was from the sacred drum Heavenly Sovereign, and the other from Ling Qingzhu. These voices, like bombs, exploded within Lin Dong's supreme sea. However, the speed of the beautiful magic hair was too fast. By the time the two outsiders, Sacred Drum Heavenly Sovereign and Ling Qingzhu, realized what was happening, the magic hair had already pierced Lin Dong's forehead. It was only then that Lin Dong fully reacted. Ding! The magic hair pierced Lin Dong's forehead, but the hair Heavenly Emperor's target wasn't to destroy Lin Dong's physical body. Such a thing held little interest. If Lin Dong's divine soul remained intact, he could always reconstruct his body. So, the magic hair's true goal was Lin Dong's supreme sea, or more precisely, Lin Dong's divine soul. Whoosh! The magic hair, with an almost artistic grace, shot into Lin Dong's supreme sea, and that was when true chaos began. At this moment, Lin Dong's supreme sea contained little spiritual energy, as most of it had already been consumed when activating the sacred drum technique earlier. Therefore, the magic hair faced little resistance as it pierced through the center of Lin Dong's supreme sea and quickly reached the location of his divine soul. However, just as the magic hair was about to pierce Lin Dong's divine soul, another faint, glimmering shadow suddenly appeared before it. It was the heavenly soul of Sacred Drum Heavenly Sovereign. Without changing direction, the magic hair pierced through the heavenly soul of Sacred Drum Heavenly Sovereign. Only then did Lin Dong begin to shift his focus back to his supreme sea, but by then, it was too late.